Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to VTM Night Road. And we went from our sire's lab to a very nasty situation, guys. So we apparently not only have vampire hunters after us, we've got some well-equipped, nasty vampire hunters after us. And we have been detected. The ruse that we were going to kind of give off the impression that our sire had been killed, that did not... It worked. But now we're considered target number 2. So let's go ahead and continue on and see what happens here. 2 agents with Phoenix badges on their arms close in. Unlike a lot of hunters, these troops have identification. They're with the 111th Military Intelligence Brigade. The SI must be infiltrating the US Army. They're holding modified shotguns, almost certainly Dragon's Breath rounds, incendiaries that will burn you to ash. 4 more agents fan out behind them, armed with heavy automatic rifles. Their flak vests say FBI. The agents aren't wearing night vision goggles because of the flares, so they've momentarily lost you in the darkness. But they move with cool professionalism, turning on the flashlights attached to their weapons and sweeping the quick-marked parking lot. You only have 2 choices. Do you go for your car now or later? They haven't noticed your car yet. They'll find you eventually on foot, but you can try luring them away from your car, or just jump in the BMW now and peel out before they're fully organized. So I kind of looked at our options here. We've got a Dex and Drive, a Resolve and Drive, a Dex and Combat, a Strength and Combat, and a Dex and Athletics. I am pretty poor at all of these except for this one. I've got 4 dots in this. I jump in my BMW. Stealing my nerves, I run over the 2 agents with Dragon's Breath shotguns before they open fire, then drive out of there. It's Resolve and Drive. Dragon's Breath is one of those threats kindred are taught to fear, but don't really worry about. Like Methuselah's or the vampires of Cathay. Modifying a shotgun to fire incendiary rounds usually results in a shotgun that explodes in your face. Even if you get it right, the heat soon destroys the barrel, and it's almost never worth it. Unless you're the SI. The 2 heavily armored agents level their modified shotguns as you start the BMW's engine. You flash your high beams, momentarily dazzling them and fouling their first shot. They reload and take aim again. That's when you slam into them at 25 miles per hour. They fly back into the black Econoline. 1 shotgun discharges, igniting the underside of the van. You accelerate hard as bullets fly all around you, maneuver around the burning van, and peel out onto the main road. When you risk a glance in the rearview mirror, you see 2 agents down and the Econoline ablaze. That went perfectly. You enjoy the freedom of the open road for about 5 seconds. Then 2 black Buick Avenires peel out of the nice residential community you're driving past and try to wedge you in. You hit the brakes and they collide with each other, not you. One of the SUVs smashes through a half-dozen mailboxes, spins out and falls behind, but the other one closes in. You need to make a decision fast. You might be able to outdrive them, but you're also close to both Prince Lato's territory and Julian's. You could head for either of their garages and hope they like you enough to let you in and fend off a combined Army/FBI, etc. kill team. Wits and Streetwise are probably going to win out here, so we can check our relationship with the Camarilla, our relationship with Julian. Let us see. Relationships. Our Julian relationship is actually at 4. The Camarilla relationship is at 2, though. So I don't really want to get either of them involved, to tell you the truth. So we got Dex and Drive and Wits and Streetwise. So our Dex is 1, our Drive is 1, so that'd be 2. Wits and Streetwise is 3. Ugh. I really don't want to risk it with the Wits and Streetwise. I think we're going to go ahead and the relationship with Julian is good. Let's go ahead and accelerate. We also kind of need to tell him about what happened. You're not sure if those garages belong to Clan Banu Hakim, Julian directly, or some shell company run by one of his daytime identities, but the Korambit logo is unmistakable, and you're sure they know you're here. You accelerate hard and weave around a recycling bin left in the middle of the road. The SUV behind you just smashes through it and closes in. The garage door opens. You yank your BMW's e-brake and scream inside in a cloud of burned rubber, stopping an inch away from the far wall. A single rifle shot echoes outside and the SUV windshield shatters. It veers off course and slams into the outside wall of the garage at 40 miles per hour. And the garage door closes. You're safe. The interior of the garage is like if the Taliban opened a Dave & Buster's. 4 grim and silent bearded men approach you, all armed. Behind them, an old arcade games and pinball machines blink and flash, the lights illuminating recently detailed late-model cars or meticulously restored classics. "You're Wretch, right?" a young man says. When you nod, he says, "We'll find you a place to rest during the day." He talks to one of the other men in a language you can't place. Not Arabic, maybe Urdu? Then says, "Don't worry about the FBI. They've decided to get rid of the Camarilla feeding pit a half-mile up the road. They'll be busy all day." More conversation with the other men. "Rest now. Tomorrow evening, we all leave." Ooh, Lord. You learned so much about VTM from me. You only played Blood until you found the Clan Quest vids? And you thought Warhammer was in depth? Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying them. Glad we were able to get you into the world of darkness. The Second Inquisition does not return. The next evening, you poke your head outside and discover that they've aggressively emptied out the mobile home park, destroying the Camarillas' feeding ground here. Cops, fire trucks, and news vans are everywhere, but you thank Julian's guys and drive the last hour back to Tucson without trouble. You've learned some interesting things about Dr. Call's facility. Julian might want to know what you've learned. His Dropbox isn't far, but you suspect that whatever Julian gets up with Dr. Call's research, it may draw both Camarilla and SI attention. So now is kind of where we need to choose where to throw our hat in. So we need to know, man. And it's a Tremere doing it too. That's the crazy thing about this, is a Tremere is getting help from the Banu Hakim / Assamites. Let's go ahead and be a little bit mercenary about it. Night, Kath. I write up some of what I've learned, but I want payment for my hard work. You print out a hard copy outlining what you've learned and drop off the summary. You're sure to make the hints you drop as tantalizing as possible. The next night, you find an envelope with $4,000 stuffed under the door, so you finish your write-up and drop off everything you've learned. A few nights later, one of Dove's retainers knocks on your door and tells you that Prince Leto at the to meet Prince Leto at the Viper around midnight. While looking down through the floor-to-ceiling glass window at the frenzied dance floor, the Eagle Prince interrogates you about the SI attack and Dr. Call's final death. You tell the prince what you saw, which is easy since you really did watch Call crumble to ash. Either Prince Leto is a better liar than you will ever be, which is possible, or he really believes that your sire was destroyed the other night. And of course, since you successfully completed the delivery mission, you get more money to stuff under your mattress. You return to your parking garage and park the BMW. You secure your parking garage, rechecking the security systems you established upon moving in, and go to sleep. You learn quite a bit on your journeys. You might want to consider applying your experience toward training skills, abilities, or the dark arts of the kindred. Ooh. Oh, man. So, how are we stat-wise? Are we hungry? We're not super hungry. What is our money situation at right now? We have $5,479. Upkeep of 150. 8 experience points. We're doing pretty good on our mental stuff. I feel that we need a little bit of physical help. Oh, actually, what is our... Oh, the blood sorcery. Yeah, well, that happens. So I'm not exactly sure how much time we're going to have for all this. Let's do... We got Vani's laboratory, too, if we want to go ahead and check that out. BMW has no damage to it. Right now, it's not harming me. Let's go ahead and unlock deeper and more powerful secrets of the blood. Between courier runs, you have all the time in the world. Okay, good. Good. A vampire's haven is where he can escape the sun come dawn. It's also where you can hone your supernatural powers. However, this dingy, converted office in the middle of a parking complex isn't really a haven. You've struggled to master your supernatural arts while on the road, constantly running from place to place. But now that you're in Tucson for at least a few months, it might be time to put down roots here and establish a secure haven from which to develop your powers. You only have a cheap room. Maybe something nicer and more secure will help you advance disciplines to higher levels. Increase our blood sorcery for 3. Well, right now we can just go ahead and we don't need a haven necessarily. Advanced disciplines to the higher levels. Oh, really? I have to get haven in order to get blood sorcery and dominate up? That's unfortunate. Alright. And we can learn animalism, too. That's nifty. No haven equals disciplines at 1 dot. Alright, let's go somewhere else, then. I guess it is time to go to the real estate office. Acquiring property as a canite isn't easy. Some nights you think the whole point of the Camarilla is to make sure vampires can buy property. Everything else the Camarilla does, useful and monstrous, falls out of the need to make sure everyone has a roof overhead. Still, you can't live in the modified office of a parking garage forever. You've struggled to master your dark gifts on the road, but the truth is that you need a secure, comfortable haven if you're ever to unlock the deeper secrets of your arts. Further, moving house should reduce the SI's ability to track you, at least for a little while. After asking around, you learn that any real estate purchased by vampires goes through Prince Leteau. He owns a place called Madrigal Real Estate, which handles the needs of people like you. The middle-aged native woman who runs the place, Anna, explains the situation. The problem isn't just that you can't head down to the real estate office at 3 in the afternoon. Your legal identity is a cobbled-together fiction that is always changing its shape to avoid scrutiny. You could use your ID to buy some Four Loko, and it's enough to let you own a car, but property? I can show you some excellent places, Anna says, with excellent ways to escape into the sewers in the event of emergency, but will require a substantial upfront payment. That's how we handle the legal hurdles. We don't want anyone investigating your identity and wondering why your ages don't match up. Understand? You nod. It's obvious the Leteau is getting his beak wet here, but in exchange, he's providing you with some degree of security if you're investigated. Well then, let's see what we can do for you, Anna says. Despite her apparent good cheer, she watches you keenly. Your status with the Camarilla, you suspect, will determine how generous she can be with her offerings. The bungalow, huh? You drive Anna south to Drexel Heights, while she explains the many excellent facilities this house offers, such as ready access to hunting grounds. For when you move up in the world, dear. Windows that lock from the inside, and a rare basement crawl space for emergencies. The one-story adobe building is small and ugly, but the material is sound and you have clear lines of sight to your neighbors. There's no garage for your BMW, but you can roll right from the kitchen to where you park your car. And those reinforced windows are a nice touch. The bungalow would make a fine haven that would let you advance your dark gifts to intermediate levels. All this for $943. How about the 2-bedroom apartment? You and Anna take a quick drive to El Presidio. The street you're on is a run-down and seedy, and the apartment complex looks bleak. Still, Anna seems confident that you'll like what you see. When she opens the door, you're pleasantly surprised. The 2-bedroom isn't nice by mortal standards, but it's clean and quiet, with windows that lock from the inside, heavy curtains already installed, and a crawl space between the second floor where you'll be and the third. There are all sorts of ways in and out, Anna explains, showing you the door hidden in the bathroom that leads to a utility closet, which in turn leads into the main hallway. There's rooftop access, too. Parking? You ask. She parts a thick curtain and points down to where you're allowed to park. It's north-facing, too, she says. Every second counts, right? The biggest drawback is the terrible kitchen, and you don't care about that. Though the apartment is more secure and better for your studies than the bungalow, it costs a little more. $943. You drive back to Madrigal, mulling over what you've seen. Okay, that's another $1887 for the 2-bedroom. And the penthouse is all over the place, I assume. Let's see. You and Anna head right into the middle of downtown Tucson. You know you're going to see a nice place because the security guard in the lobby can't seem to decide whether to call the police or just shoot you, until Anna introduces herself. Then the two of you take a glossy chrome elevator up to the top floor. Looks like a movie set. Stark, immaculate, all glass and marble. A lot of glass, though, you observe. Anna does something with the app on her phone, and the shades come down in under a second. Then she raises them again, so you can admire the view. It's like you're floating above Tucson. Anna doesn't waste time with the apartment's luxuries, which you've already read about. Instead, she points out the security system. The second elevator to be used in emergencies, the camera room, and the panic room. All this luxury and security comes with a hefty price tag, $3,774, but from here, you can master even the most powerful and esoteric of the dark arts. Well, I mean, we've got 5,479. I'm wondering. Masters, 3 dots, yeah. Boom. You know what? I feel like going all out here. I think that probably is going to work best for us. We were able to get that very nice payment for the information. Yeah, why not? We got 4,000, we're going to spend 4,000. There's less paperwork than you expected. But after a few hours spent securing various shadow identities under which you'll be able to access the penthouse, Anna hands you your key along with a laminated book that explains the security system and protocols. You move in that night. It'll take weeks to furnish the new apartment properly, Still, with this level of security, you're now free to plumb the deepest depths of your unnatural powers. You've learned even more than when you began your journey. You might want to apply your considerable experience toward training skills, abilities, or the dark arts. Boop, boop. Okay, let's do that first. I really would like to learn Fortitude. It's okay, though. Blood Sorcery, which I suppose is easier for us to learn because we had our sire give us the books. Hey, Rufio, how you doing, boss? Blood Sorcery, okay. Blood Sorcery increased. We've got 9 experience points. Well, let's go and somewhere else. Now, I do want to go ahead and get my physical abilities taken care of because I am a bit of a glass cannon. So let's see. For once, you have to pick up or have your pick of late night options, since quite a few Tucson gyms are open 24 hours. But you want more than just a gym. You want a place where you can conduct all kinds of physical training, maybe even a place where you can employ specialists to help you out. Finally, you remember a former blood doll turned useful contact you met one of the first times you were in Tucson. You hop online and find that your old contact Simon runs a gym called Paragon Fitness not far away. You head there and find an impressive-looking modern gym. Simon is watching 2 kickboxers practice their technique. You renew your acquaintance with the now middle-aged athlete and ask after unusual facilities. Gym shooting range, regular and vehicle obstacle course, and we hold fights every Monday and Friday night, Simon says. I still owe you for that thing in Tijuana, so you're welcome at any time. Just don't let anyone know, what you are. We have citizens in here. Strength, dex, oh man. E's expensive. I feel drive is going to come into play here. I kind of want to go for stamina and drive. You're avoiding, yeah, sorry about that. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get 2 in drive. That's what we are, right? We're a courier. Drive increased. Experience point 7. That's very strange to me. I will take all of those shots. You gained extra XP when you bought the Haven, at least you wondered. Ah. Okay, Stam. And we got 1 experience point left. Okay. So with that lovely bit, let's go ahead and leave Paragon Fitness. Let's look for a library or a bookstore. You need a quiet place where you can conduct research late into the night. Libraries will be closed, and you don't know any librarians in this town from whom you could extract a favor. Colleges likewise. That leaves bookstores. You drive around Tucson until you find a likely candidate. Corbeau Used Books. No hours posted, an interior full of books stacked up without order or sense, an entire map room, and an occult section with a beaded curtain like video rental stores once used for the pornos. Elaine Corbeau is an elderly eccentric, translator, jazz trombonist, Heidegger scholar, and esoteric fascist. You dimly recall meeting him when you were still under your sire's thumb, but you don't think he has any real power. You can squirrel yourself away in the back room and not be interrupted from twilight until dawn. We can get one up in Clandestine. Cool. Hone our non-existent social facility, or, you know. You tune the BMW's radio to hear the news. This is Manelope Chen, and you're listening to Mel at Midnight. And now the nerd news. Lester Bond of the Santa Fe Institute in Santa Fe recently published his findings on the so-called Desert Stonehenge found in the California desert in the 1970s, pointing to evidence of the tools used in recent dendrochronology results. Professor Bond claims that the work is a Victorian-era forgery. The Desert Stonehenge drew Forteans, Sado-archaeologists, and even Native American rights advocates in the 70s, but has subsequently fallen into obscurity as evidence emerged that it was one of recent manufacture. But where it came from has not been clear until now. Elizabeth Sneed of the online rebuking service Cahoots claims that Lester Bond is an archon of the 18th grade controlled by the New World Order, and she's here with me now. Prince Leto has a strict rule against anyone but him hunting the Viper's dance floor, but this is a safe place to hone your social skills around kindred and kind alike, as well as an opportunity to enjoy yourself for a few hours. You park your BMW in the lot across the street and head inside. You're instantly enveloped by the pounding EDM. Prince Leto is visible in the private glass box overhead. Alexander, watching from one of the balconies, tracks you down almost instantly, but once he's sure you're not going to try to feed, he bids you adieu. From here, you can circulate freely, up to the balconies, down to the dance floor, out to the private and semi-private rooms, or up to the Elysium. Wherever you go, you'll be able to hone your social skills. And those are pretty good too, other than subterfuge. I think we definitely do need to learn a little bit of subterfuge, so I'm gonna do that. Alright. I'll see Vani's laboratory, because we made a friend. Vani, like her former employer, has found that the best way to get ahead in science is to grab a few cardboard boxes full of research and set up shop somewhere else. Her laboratory is in a bleak little adobe strip mall between a boarded UPS store and a Supercuts. A minuscule sign reads, Anand Biomedical. You scan the parking lot and see only a few late-night wanderers. A tow truck rolling down the street, a few crows fighting over garbage in an alley. You ring the bell. Vani looks ashen when she opens the door, though she does make herself smile. She's wearing a coffee-stained UCLA sweatshirt and yoga pants. Her curly black hair is pulled back in a frayed ponytail, and one hand is bandaged. Wretch, she says. Come in and close the door. Boxes of paperwork fill the front office. The meeting room holds a centrifuge, a homogenizer, an autoclave, standard biomedical equipment. Bonnie's office is full of servers running computations. She beckons you to sit, and then realizes there are no chairs. A beaker of cold coffee on her desk has a pencil in it. She flicks the pencil away and drains the entire beaker, and then looks you in the eyes. I need your help, she says. I think I'm cursed. I don't think she's acting on Dr. Call's orders, Vanny says. She's just trying to help her. But their work, all those clones, I think it's driven her crazy. Who? You ask. Giselle, Vanny says. Dr. Call's witch. Giselle tried to destroy her last year, and Dr. Call, she did something to her. Made her serve. And now she's trying to kill me. It started with little things. A secretary I hired stole from me and disappeared. There was a fire. But now there are these birds. Ravens. They keep watching me. And when I went to my car yesterday, they swarmed me. She holds up her bandaged hand. Well, this would have been a good time to have animalism. Crap. I know an asshole with a bird. Did you see any other animals? The prince could be hassling the scientist, or maybe another outlander, or a sewer rat. There's lots of possibilities.
I looked it up, Vanny says. They're Chihuahuan ravens, named after the Mexican state, not the little dog. They're big and mean.
She holds up her wounded hand.
And they're watching me. I know that sounds crazy, but...
It doesn't, you say.
Giselle is sending them, Vanny says. Please, Wretch, you have to help me, and I could offer something in return. I know how to work with Vitae.
She hesitates around that last word, like she's never said it out loud before.
In fact, I needed to continue my research. I'm interested in becoming your retainer.
You consider what to say, though you're not willing to commit yet. A ghoul scientist could perform research no one else could. I'm interested. Go on. What would you need from me?
It just stops Giselle,
Vanny says.
I'm happy to help, of course, but we'll have to put our heads together and figure out a way to get rid of her. Then we'll talk Vitae.
Ooh. Stay safe for now. I'll be back when I'm ready. I don't want to do that right now. Okay. Try Covenant Pawn Shop again. Actually, yeah, let's spend a night investigating local news services, looking for a cheap and effective way to spread misinformation. Your initial inquiries draw the immediate attention of the Ivory Tower. You're just getting back into your car after an interesting but inconclusive conversation with an intern at KOLD, a local TV news station, when a hunter green Jaguar screams to a halt and one of the old Prince of Tucson's children steps out. The blue blood is angry, convinced that you're poaching her contacts, until you explain what you're doing. Since a kill team finding and destroying you is bad for everyone, she swallows her mistrust and reluctantly offers you some advice. If you want to spread misinformation, stick with radio news. While Melpanene Chen of Mel at Midnight considers herself a crusading investigative journalist, the other local gossip news fixture, Harry the Gila Monster Jimenez, will spout any old nonsense for a modest consideration, as long as the news article incorporates a lot of H's and silent G's and J's. That's his gimmick. She leaves you with 1, contact information for the Gila Monster, and 2, a few choice threats. Given your limited talent for deception and misdirection, you estimate that the inducements necessary to plant these false stories will run around $700 if you act tonight. But if you go through with it, hunters will be thrown off the scent and you'll be in the clear. Unless you slip up again, of course. Where to tonight? How much grease do I have for these wheels? Yeah, I'll still have about 1,000 when I'm done with it. I also could just use Dominate. I don't know if this is going to work. That just removed a Masquerade violation? Outstanding. That's good. How you doing, Chris? $700 or Dominate. I always am kind of meh about using the powers unless I absolutely need to, but if we can go ahead and feed afterward, Let's see what happens. If I don't have any what? Oh, okay. Masquerade breaches. Ah, okay, cool. Well, then I won't worry about it then. Thank y'all. Let's head back to the Covenant pawn shop. Covenant pawn shop is still next to a nail salon and across from a Title Max. It looks like the auto repair shop is shut down or been shut down. Circling to the rear, you don't see any cars except the owner's pumpkin orange Datsun 240Z and a van for deliveries. You head inside, past an expanded selection of jewelry and an expanded security system to protect it, to where Elena is reading a 1992 copy of Rakunari computer magazine and trying to rebuild an antique laptop. When she spots you, she replaces her plastic safety goggles with her Victorian railway glasses, shakes bits of iron and plastic shavings out of her short blonde hair, and moves to where, you're guessing, she can reach a shotgun. There's not a lot of charm here, but there is a lot of stuff. How much were the high-end clothes again? The suit was $405. Hey, Blackbird. I'll talk to Elena. Oh, no, I'm not making Elena my ghoul. I mean, that would kind of be cool, but not... No, I go back to shopping. Whew. Show those stats. I am hungry, though. Oh, I do have a Masquerade violation. That's just because of my stats. Or what I did. Man, those social graces are nice, though. I think I may want to go ahead and get myself some of the high-end clothes. Yeah, I'm going to buy the high-end clothes. We got a penthouse, might as well look the part. The gray ring jacket suit is perfect, and you don't think Elena has any idea what she's giving away. She must not focus on fashion, though she enjoys picking out a fancy walnut coat hanger for your jacket. Okay. It's like we got the sword, we don't need to do that, we'll leave. And let's see, go to the used car dealership. Ooh, Toyota Tacoma. We're getting into the 90s cars here. Acura, Integra, Saab 900 Turbo, 1990 Mazda RX-7 convertible. You look for a place that's well reviewed, not too connected to the Camarilla or all mopped up, and open late in case you walk into Tucson at 4 a.m. with nothing left but for your BMW but a steering wheel. Finally, you uncover a place not too far away. Rayner's Imported Autos. Sounds a bit upscale, but you decided to check it out. And this looks like your place. Nice cars out front, men in gold ties lined up like eager dogs at the edge of the property line, a few tacky signs. But the interior is just a little dingy and hard-edged. Rayner himself greets you. He's a big sallow-skinned guy with the easy smile of someone who was handsome in college. He looks terrible under the fluorescent lights and the neon green polo shirt he's wearing. This whole place is dangerous, but not guns and steak dangerous. It's the kind of bad news a vampire was built to exploit. You permit yourself a small smile as Rayner leads you to the cars. So, 1990 Mazda RX-7 convertible. Let's see. RX-7. convertible. Alright, so I want to go ahead and show you guys this. See if we still have the display the way it needs to look. Yep. Alright, so this is what the Mazda would look like, roughly. Don't touch the RS7 from a mechanic standpoint. Noted. Alright, next up is the Saab 900 Turbo. Oh, man, okay. Well, that's a interesting looking vehicle. Looks like something a budget James Bond would drive. A Acura Integra. I've seen worse, but I've seen a lot better. And then finally, Toyota Tacoma. Like, I would like a Toyota Tacoma. Not necessarily my character. I myself would like one. Okay. Cool. I think we're good with the BMW for right now, considering since we haven't had any damage done to it yet. Since you bought the BMW, which is the best, you should probably go to a mechanic and enhance the car you already own from now. I was actually thinking that, Chris, so that will work. Go ahead and leave Rainers. Well, actually, let's take a look at the BMW. 222. Find a mechanic to repair my BMW. Tucson is full of excellent auto body shops, but the only ones open late are in the pocket of the Camarilla, and not any good. You suspect that Dove, the Nosferatu, has more or less exclusive access to them. You turn elsewhere, even checking around the edges of town, but nothing is open. Then you spot one of Julian's karambit symbols. Karambit. You follow it around the back of a strip mall, past a dental office and a party supply store, to a small garage that is incongruously attached to a Chinese takeout place. A young woman in a tudung runs up to your window. "You order the curry mee?" she asks. Then she steps back and gets a better look at your car. "Ah, I get it. Pull ahead." The garage is called Fine Motor Skills, and it looks like a professional operation headed by an older man and his sons, while the woman handles the takeout next door. The older man looks over your BMW, stares at you for a long time, and then nods. Apparently, both of you passed the test. The youngest son even smiles a little. These aren't ghouls, but they know Julian. As long as the Banu Hakim likes you, you should get reduced prices. Ooh, I like reduced prices. Speed upgrade, maneuverability upgrade, and durability upgrade for 200? Heck yeah! All for a nice 600? That is a good investment. The mechanic gets to work improving the engine and powertrain, and soon you're much faster. Chassis and upgrading the wheels, and soon you're noticeably more maneuverable. And soon it looks a lot tougher. Okay. Thank you, folks at Fine Motor Skills. Alright, we're almost out of money. We're out of XP. Let's go ahead and feed. Where and how can I hunt for blood in Tucson without getting into trouble? You head to the Viper to make sure you don't commit any faux pas while hunting in Tucson. There you meet Alexander, Leteau's favorite retainer, who explains the situation. After the destruction of the last prince and before Leteau's consolidation of power, hunting in Tucson was a dog-eat-dog business, with frequent and costly breaches of the Masquerade. Leteau put an end to all that. First, I think we've already heard this before. You've not proven yourself, Alexander explains. That being the case, you're limited to the kiddie pool. He's very proud of himself for knowing that term. In exchange for a small consideration each time, Alexander will provide you with access to blood dolls, cups of fresh blood, or caged animals. Your preference. You know, that's actually a fairly clever and innovative system. I'm impressed.
Yes,
Alexander says.
I believe a young Asimite recommended it a few years back when that clan first started to buddy up with the Camarilla. He had an app. We don't use many apps anymore, but I handle the numbers on the ledger. And remember that this is only for our junior members. Dove and the other senior members of the court hunt freely and joyfully. But we lowly servants, our lot is not to be joyful, is it?
Anyway, enough philosophy. Let's just turn to the issue of remuneration, since we cannot provide this service. Oh, actually, no, it's him who said that.
Anyway, enough philosophy. Let us turn to the issue of remuneration, since we cannot provide this service for free.
After a brief negotiation, ferocious but not uncivilized, you and Alexander agree to a payment of 105 per drink of blood. If you want to reduce that price, you'll have to improve your standing with the Camarilla. The ghoul opens a ledger.
My only question is this. Do you prefer the blood dolls, the live prey, I mean, or stored blood? I know you prefer live prey, but more and more kindred these nights are squeamish about what they are.
Blood dolls sound like they cause the least disruption to Camarilla business. I'll stick to live prey.
Very polite of you, Wretch, Alexander says. I will ensure a steady supply of blood dolls, clean and not enslaved, because the Eagle Prince is a man of honor and refinement.
Boom, 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 boom. Well, we need to get that hunger settled. At least a little bit. Spend some money and acquire some blood. Alexander provides you with a graphic artist who has grown addicted to the kiss. And you are soon sated. Where to tonight? Okay, we got less than $700 now. And yep, one hunger. Huzzah. So what are my remaining missions? Let's go ahead and kind of take a look at our brief here. First off, our humanity is at 4. Willpower is maxed out at 4. Wounds are at 0. We got 1 Masquerade violation. Strength of 2, Dex of 1, Stam of 2. Our wits is also incredibly low. Our intelligence, though, is 4. And like Vassaros says, we're very book smart. We're not street smart. Charisma, manipulation, and composure is at 3. Drive is at 2. Oh, willpower refreshes after each mission. Good. I used to do that when I story told. We're decent on our socials, and our knowledges are okay. With 2 in blood sorcery and 1 in dominate. Okie doke. And just like relationships. Poor and great. Got a pretty decent BMW now. We've got $490. We're looking stylish now. And we got our journal if we need to use it for anything. Actually, hold on. Disciplines. Ah, okay, so it doesn't really... It's kind of abstract, which is cool. I like that. My remaining missions. Yeah, the upkeep is cutting it close to the current wealth, but hopefully we'll be able to get some more money here soon. The Tucson Camarilla has 2 more driving tasks for you, to be tackled in any order. First, Prince Leto wants you to deliver information that will help the semi-exiled Bruja Patermuster and his band of caitiffs and thin bloods. Apparently they're under threat of eviction from St. Basil's Hospital in Phoenix, and Leto wants to prevent that from happening. There's also some kind of warning to a blue blood named Olivekrona at a detention center called Camp Sheffler along the Scheffler along the Texas-Mexico border. Well, I guess I don't know if we need to go ahead and try and get our ghoul now. That's my only concern. Like, I can do the quest for Vani right now, but I'm kind of unsure whether we have the stats to go against a mage yet. You can do stuff whenever you like? Oh, okay. Cool. Well, you know, let's go ahead and rock that out. Okay. I'll help you stop Giselle. You can do stuff whenever you like. Don't know if you have the ability. Yeah, see, that's what I'm kind of like. Maybe after one more run. Maybe after one more little adventure. You never ghouled. Ah. What do the rest of you guys think? Should we go ahead and try and go for the ghoul now? Let the dice roll. Yeah, why not? All right, I know it's VTM, so it's all D10s, but I've got my extra life D20 here. We'll go even. We'll hold off for right now. Odd. We'll go for it. And that is, I believe that is a 6. All right, so let's see what the blue blood's up to. What happens if I get a bestial failure on the dice roll? Well, at that point, I'll drain her dry. And then I won't have an opportunity. Alright, we'll pick up the parcel for Ellen and take it to Camp Scheffler. Chapter 5. Tucson, Arizona, night of November 15th. Sunrise, 6:53 a.m. The parking lot outside the Viper is a mess, even though it's too early for the party to really start. As you turn in, you have to slam on your brakes as a piss-yellow Cherry Nova SS roars past you and accelerates the wrong way down West Alameda. Do I have to make the roll down the window gesture? A clear, slightly accented voice says. Do people still understand that, or is it an anachronism? Prince Leto himself is standing outside, dressed in white and flanked by the mortal flunky you remember from last time. He tries to say something, but a GMC Denali rumbles past and he has to wait. Finally he says, You have 2 deliveries this time, Wretch. Well, 2 deliveries means 2 payments, Prince Leto. Your response is drowned out by a Kawasaki bike that revs up and takes off. At least its rider goes the right way down the street. This is everything you need for Ellen Oliveskrona, Prince Leto says. He hands you an unlocked USB on a lanyard, a typewritten sheet of directions to Camp Scheffler, and a false government ID and registration. Only deliver to Ellen Oliveskrona, the Eagle Prince says, making sure you meet his gaze. He uses no powers of the blood, he just doesn't want the USB going to some underling. And what about the other delivery? you ask. Someone will find you on the road, the prince says. Look for a red Corolla. That's dangerous and complicated, but Prince Leto has already walked away to talk to another courier. There are, 5 in this parking lot? You don't recognize any either. Most of them must be Prince Leto's personal flunkies. What the hell is going on? You push it out of your mind. You know where you're going. Whatever finds you on the road will find you. The flunky also make sure you have your typewritten sheet of directions and false government IDs. Only deliver to Ellen Olivekrona, he says. It's a 7-hour drive to the big nothing on the map between Texas and Chihuahua, assuming this information is accurate. That means you can get there in one night and back the next. You've checked where you can stay on the way if you refuse shelter. There are a few hotels nearby, but you're going to be heading right out into the desert. You hope you don't have to spend a day wrapped up in a body bag. It's bad for the nerves. Julian calls you somewhere outside of Benson. A kill team is coming for Ellen Olivekrona, he says. Details are on the USB. You glance at the USB. Unlike the last one, it's not in a portable lockbox, but it's definitely encrypted. A kill team. The SI. In that case, why didn't Prince Leto tell you to, hurry? You're probably wondering why you weren't told to hurry, Julian says. I can hear you sighing. That's good. It's good to keep breathing. Anyway, as usual, the ivory tower is acting like a good thing will last forever. Remember that rat nest of a mobile home park in Mescal? That's gone. But this is worse. The program at Camp Sheffler could fuel half of our people in Texas, but it's run by a greedy idiot. I'm offering you a deal. Let's take it over. You consider what to say. Obviously, Julian just blew your phone's cover so badly that you'll have to get rid of it, but now that you're talking, you need information. But why aren't I in a hurry? Something about this doesn't add up, and I think it's putting me in danger. Because you are being followed, Julian says. They're waiting for a BMW 3 Series with someone matching your description to reach the camp. Then they'll strike when Ellen panics, because they know she'll panic. You turn Julian's words over in your mind. Oh, one last thing, the Banu Hakim says. You'll need to ditch that phone, too. Thanks, Julian. There's a storage place off exit 306, Julian says. Go to Unit 43. Passcode is 3847. Drop your phone there. Don't destroy the SIM. Then pick up the new one on the shelf. That's the only way you're finishing this job. He hangs up. You pull into the storage facility and do the phone trick again. The 5x5 storage cube has a brand new flip phone waiting for you, still in its original packaging. You grab it and get back on the road as quickly as you can. You're between towns, about an hour from where you're supposed to turn off the legal roads to find Camp Scheffler, when headlights appear behind you. They're coming up hard. You instinctively put a hand on your suitcase where you keep the data destined for Ellen Olivekrona. The headlights blow past you. Then the vehicle spins out, throwing up dust and dirt. It skids to a halt 100 yards up the road, its headlight pointing out into the big expanse of nothing that waits outside every Texas highway. You slow down when you see the red Corolla, or to be more precise, the maroon Toyota AE86. This is the car Leto mentioned. The little hatchback looks to be in good shape. What is it, 85? 86? It's an import. Regular left-hand drive, you slam on the brakes and swerve as a figure stumbles onto the road. You manage to control your spin and end up parked on the side of the road. You back up so you're next to the Corolla. Carlos is leaning against his passenger door, looking ashen and clutching his stomach. You haven't seen him since your first visit to the Tucson Elysium. Leto's servant Alexander said Carlos was a cop. It's a good thing for a vampire to keep on the payroll, though this guy doesn't look like a cop now. He Looks like roadkill. It takes Carlos a moment to focus on you. He says something, but you can't hear him over the pounding beats of Kerncraft 400. "Turn that down!" you shout. He nods vaguely and crawls back into his car to turn the music down, leaving a smear of blood on the door handle. "Wretch, Prince Leto actually sent you? The fucking usurper?" "You have something for me?" you ask. You glance back toward the road, but it's quiet. Just a few cars drifting past, and none of them can see you or the AE-86. Carlos holds up a rugged plastic Pelican case in matte black, like you use to transport a pistol or a really good optical camera. "Leto wants this delivered to a waiting plane." "Where?" He turns the case around. An address is taped to the other side. Blood has stained the tape. You consult your mental map of Texas, and it's 2 hours north. And you're not going north. "And it needs to be there by 4:30. The plane can't wait longer than that." He tries to say more, then coughs blood onto his dash. Oh, fuck me. Who attacked you? The same people who killed Miguel at Kiowa Genetics? I need a bigger picture if I'm going to stay safe and undestroyed. "If I could see them, I'd deal with it myself," Carlos says. Oh, need to turn that down just a little bit. Alright. Carlos says, "I got shot when I was filling my tank. Never saw anything. Maybe hunters, maybe anarchs, who knows? I just know it fucking hurts, so shut up for a moment and let me concentrate." He closes his eyes as sweat pours down his face. After a moment, he's breathing a little more easily, though his skin is still ashen. Unlike Miguel, Carlos is able to heal himself. "Now stop asking questions and deliver this parcel," he says, throwing it through his driver's side window and onto your lap. "Or Prince Leto will make Raga peck your eyes out while I watch. Don't let the Inquisition get it. Or the Anarchs." "Anarchs," you say. Carlos restarts his AE-86 and roars on out of there, blasting your BMW with dust and grit. You check the address one more time. 2 hours? This isn't a Scotty on Star Trek problem. By all known laws of physics, getting there in time is entirely possible, but it's a cops all over the road problem. You can't afford to get pulled over doing 115 down some Texas highway. You check your maps and consider the possibilities. A busier road would let you weave through traffic and stay hidden, though you'd have to pay attention to avoid police cruisers. There's also a less busy route where you could just trust to raw speed and determination to get you where you need to go. Are those the only 2 routes? You might be able to find another way using your maps if you study them, but that might take time that you don't have. Let's see. Wits and awareness. We have... That ain't happening. Resolve and drive. So that's 5 right there. Blood sorcery, meh. And int and academics. And that's 6. So first, I check out the case. What could be in it? I'm going to be that guy. The Pelican case is made of heavy, ruggedized black plastic with 2 abloy locks. You have no idea how to get in it. The case itself looks like a pistol case, though you can't be sure. I need to use brains instead of driving tricks. I use my map reading skills and look for alternative routes. You unfurl your maps and look for roads that police are likely to overlook. reading quickly by the glow of your dome light because you can't wait more than a few minutes. Then, confident you found the perfect frontage road along which you can accelerate to your heart's content, you set out. After just a few minutes, you spot a car following you. You dodge around a slow-moving Mercedes and try and get a good look at it. It's a black Camaro, specifically a 1987 IROC Z. Camaros were cheap muscle cars in your youth, beloved of metalheads and horsepower geeks, but as you try to get a better view of this one, it slips away around a van and suddenly it's gone. Camaros shouldn't be able to move like that. You slow down for a moment, then return to remember that you have places to be. You speed back up, still scanning for the Camaro, but it doesn't return. The highway is clear and dark. Other cars are almost non-existent, and nothing touches you for the 1 hour and 45 minutes it takes you to reach the turnoff. That went perfectly. You brake only slightly as you take the exit, then you accelerate and race for your target, the Pelican case bouncing on the passenger seat next to your suitcase. You brake hard when the asphalt suddenly vanishes beneath your wheels, leaving you on a dirt path illuminated by starlight. You weren't exactly expecting a whole secret airport, but there's barely even an airstrip ahead of you. Just a patch of hard-packed earth surrounded by jagged rocks in one direction and scraggly scrubs the other. You're early. You can tell because you hear a buzzing whine overhead. You lean out the window and spot a small twin-engined light aircraft coming in for a landing. It should arrive in a minute or so. You roll your BMW into position so you can hand off the parcel as quickly as possible. You're feeling entirely confident until the floodlights hit you. Oh dear, okay. Well, a half-dozen black Buick Avenires are now visible not far from your position. One SUV has a light strip on its roof, which illuminates the airplane and catches your BMW at the edge of its light. The FBI's Special Affairs Division is here. You're just getting ready to roll backward when shots ring out. You duck, but they're not shooting at you. 3 wolves rush the SUV closest to the shrubs. One beast smashes right through the passenger window. A moment later, blood sprays all over the inside of the windshield. It takes you a moment to recognize them as kindred, and probably anarchs. Well, at least it's not werewolves. As the wolf gangrels swarm out of the devastated SUV, more appear from the darkness and rush the Inquisition on ATVs. Armed with old rifles or cheap submachine guns, they open fire with wild abandon, laughing even when they get hit. What's a gunshot and a fall to the kindred? The ATVs throw up a cloud of dust that obscures the battle. You're not sure what the gangrel are doing here, but as the battle erupts, you have a clear path to the airplane. The pilot is visible now, illuminated in the open side door. Just before you can roll forward, a dark blue 1963 Ford Fairlane roars past you, heading for the plane. Its driver is visible only for a moment in silhouette. You catch a glimpse of a French braid and a heavy, hulking physique, but the federal agents with guns remain visible in the glow of the floodlight. The airplane rolls forward, getting ready to take off. Okay. But the side door remains open. You can throw the parcel in front if you can just get close enough. Dust from the ATV swirls around the runway. So it's a race then. You need to get this parcel to that airplane before those agents shoot the pilot to shreds. And you're doing it while gangrel anarchs rip into the FBI. You gun the engine. Even as you start to move, you analyze the field ahead of you. The raging battle to your right isn't actually your problem. Whoever wins, Gangrel or the Second Inquisition, they won't be able to interfere before the plane takes off. The twin engine is moving faster now. It's running lights and the glowing, rounded rectangle of its open door barely visible through the swirling dust. With the fair lane in the way, there's no clear path where you can just accelerate hard and get close enough to throw the parcel. The path ahead is rough. Dangerously rough at one point, where there's a huge, large bump in the road that you'd hesitate to go over even in an old Ford. Let's see. No Tremere magic this time. Charisma. Let's see what we got here. Just ignoring wits. Strength is 2. Drive is 2. So that would be 4. Charisma and resolve plus intimidation. Four. All right. So we got 4 here. Take your BMW right over that bump in the road and hold on with all the strength. Ew. All right. So we got 2 options here, guys. What do you think we should do? We have got, there has to be a straightaway. We basically take the BMW right over the bump in the road, like Dukes of Hazzard style, which means we're probably going to have damage done to the car. Or we could go ahead and force the fair lane off the road with intimidation. Both have the exact same options, or the same dice pool. I'm thinking probably intimidation because that has the potential to not damage our car. What do you guys think? DJ says dice. I don't know if I want to trust the dice on this one necessarily. I don't want to damage our car at all. It's a good investment. And we have quite a few. We have some coin into now. Yeah. Strength and drive should be 5? No. I don't think so. Yeah, strength and drive are at 4 right now. And then composure, resolve are all at 3. And then intimidation is at 1. So. Yeah, I think we should do intimidation. Let's see what happens. Why not? Steal my nerves and force that fair lane off the road. Even through the medium of a car, I know how to scare someone. Those mid-century cars are made with a lot of steel, so it's not like you can do more than scrape the paint, but humans are creatures of instinct, and you know how to scare them. You wrench the wheel once, then back off as FBI agents shoot. They can't hit anything with the driver startled. Then you turn into the fair lane again, and the driver loses her nerve. She veers off, right toward an oncoming Buick SUV. Both drivers wrench their wheels, and the vehicles clip each other with a scream of metal and then sputter to a halt. They're finished. You accelerate so you're alongside the prop plane. You grab the Pelican case and fling it through the door. The airplane lifts off, and you spin the BMW around, blasting gravel, and get off the strip, racing past shrubs and scrabbly trees with your lights off as the Gangrel FBI battle rages behind you. But no one follows you, and after a few minutes, you slow down. Another mission accomplished. You get back on the road toward Camp Sheffler. You remind yourself that Prince Leto owes you yet another grand. Security is tight around Camp Sheffler. You're followed once you turn off the main road. First by the Texas Highway Patrol, then by some kind of patriot/militia group in a Chevy Tahoe flying Gadsden and the Blue Lives Matter flags. They only peel off when you reach the outer periphery of the camp. High fences topped with razor wire, guarded by men in face masks and goggles. The face masks look like respirators, and they're all painted the same way, like a great cat's mandibles. Though everyone seems to have respirators and at least one cat skull logo, weapons and other equipment are heterogeneous and irregular. From their mannerisms, you detect a mix of competent ex-military, police/security personnel, and untrained fringe militia types. The gate guard looks from your government ID to your very much not government BMW, shrugs, and waves you around to the parking lot. You spot a familiar face as you look for the parking spot. or you look for a parking spot. Who is that man? You slow down, trying to see his face clearly under the black ball cap, and then you suddenly remember. The abandoned filling station. The migrant family. The Nosferatu White. That man barely survived the attack. You're sure it's the same guy. And here he is, hundreds of miles away, with the stride of someone packing a .357 Magnum under his windbreaker. A cluster of civilian contractors wanders between you and the man, and just like that, he's gone. Throughout history, certain kinds of prisons have served as neutral meeting spaces and feeding ground for the kindred. Insane asylums, concentration camps, and gulags have drawn vampires with the promise of easy blood and relative security. Olivekrona, shadow director of Camp Scheffler and a member of Clan Ventrue, has hidden this place from regular inspection and allowed it to fester and grow ripe. You roll past open-air holding pens where prisoners sit wrapped in reflective plastic blankets, watching your BMW with dull and hopeless eyes. Guards patrol with rifles or dogs. After you finish your circuit and park, still scanning for the man you remember, you watch some kind of shift change among the prisoners. They're being put to work in long, low Quonset huts. The wind carries the stink of unwashed and unhealthy bodies, and this is autumn. The moment you step out of the car, a tall, dark figure of intermediate gender in a dark suit approaches you and says, "Give me the USB." My orders are explicit. I deliver the USB to Olivekrona. Okay, now I'm giving you a new order, you fucking parasite. Give me the USB. Ooh. Int. And investigation. Yeah, that's my jam. Is this flunky for real? I start by investigating their appearance, using what I know of government and Camarilla protocol to see if they are legit. You keep them talking for a few more minutes. A careful analysis of their mannerisms reveals a few useful things. They're either a ghoul or a junkie, and given the amount of muscle they carry, they're probably not a junkie. They're not officially part of whatever militia group patrols this camp, but when a few of them pass by, their reaction is deferential. A non-binary person who can command the respect of these militia thugs has to be dangerous. Despite their air of authority, they look worried and stressed. You feel confident that you can persuade, threaten, or trick your way past them. So, calm and subterfuge, manipulation, persuasion, manipulation... Okay. Calm, subterfuge, persuasion, intimidation. Manipulation. Hold on, let me see that again. I don't want to waste blood on a ghoul, though. Man persuasion, man intimidation. Okay, it's the same. It's 4. Doom. I can top off the tank later. What's the point of a power you never use? Because I don't want people to know what I am. What's our hunger at? See, our hunger's at 2 right now. So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. If you don't back off right now, I'm going to make you regret it. This goes to Olivekrona, not her dog. Listen, the flunky says. I've dealt with a lot of couriers and you listen. You snap. I've dealt with 1,000 Ventrue lapdogs. What do you think happened to them? Tell Olivekrona I'm here and I have what she wants. If Julian is right and the Second Inquisition is watching your movements, you're on a deadline. It's time to deliver this USB. You have a fake ID, so you just sidle up to the nearest guard who looks ex-military, not like some militia dipshit, and ask him where Olivekrona can be found. He's perfectly polite. He apologizes for Nile, Nile, the person who you just spoke to, and gives you instructions to head to the red prefab facility. Following his directions, you find yourself in front of a Santa red hut guarded by a man and a woman dressed like Nile. No entry, the woman says. I'm making a delivery from Tucson, you say, holding up the USB. Olivekrona is busy, the woman says. A delivery, you repeat, from Tucson. How explicit should you be? Is that the courier from Leto? A woman shouts from inside. That must be Olivekrona. Tell him to go away and come back tomorrow night. Just give him a place to stay and have him... The voice trails off. The woman on guard shrugs uncomfortably. Fine. You can come back, whatever. You head back to your BMW. Someone stuck a boot on it. Well, fuck. Looks like you're staying. You get a consolation prize for your booted BMW. A lanyard that lets you wander around without getting shot. You also get a private trailer, too, complete with shower. Expecting an attack, you procure a water drum for your trailer and partially empty it. You can store yourself in there if hunters attack. No one checks the water drums. You scout the camp in under an hour. At first convinced that the Second Inquisition will show up at any minute in helicopters and troop transports. The camp is laid out like an open-air prison, with temporary Quonset huts serving as separate holding pens for men, women, and children. Due to overcrowding, an overflow pen topped with razor wire holds several hundred more people. Right up next to that pen is a place called Millicent's, kind of Rick's Cafe Americain for kindred, where the vessels are so plentiful it's almost free. After using your ID to pass the security checkpoints, you poke your head inside Millicent's and count not just well-heeled Camarilla types, but also anarchs of all kinds lounging around the dazed-looking blood dolls among the low couches and glittering lamps that establish a sort of 1920s French Algeria, 1990s Pier 1 store style to the place. You're pretty sure the biker gang is made up of gangrel, since there are 2 wolves among the Outlanders. You also spot some creepy-looking figures in boiler suits that you've heard about but never met. Russian exiles, mostly rabble of the stories you've heard are to be believed. You listen on some conversations and learn the names of a few lunatics, sewer rats, and clanless hangers-on that the new, more aristocratic Camarilla wouldn't normally tolerate. Millicent herself is small, frail, and elderly. A peculiar choice for the embrace by most standards. She looks like a librarian from a black-and-white movie. But it sounds like everyone is welcome to grab a drink at Millicent's. How careful is Olivekrona being here? Is this whole place just a massive masquerade breach, or does she run a clean operation? Actually, we did say we wanted to improve it, right? We are an ambitious sort. You watch as the biggest Malkavian you've ever seen shares a hollow-eyed vessel with a hard-looking Bruja in a Soviet captain's uniform. You consider weak points, slack, vulnerability. Millicent herself is sort of half bartender, half madam, generously allocating blood dolls based on preference and whim. That's fun for the locals and the regulars, but this place should be part of a blood trade, not just a personal playground for this mix of Camarilla anarchs and not even good enough to be anarchs. What you need is information on Olivekrona's interstate operation, and you can really start making improvements. Or you could start with the amount of blood theft that's going on. This Soviet Canite is using a needle to steal blood even as he drinks. What use is blood measured in cubic centimeters? Those look like biomedical samples. Interesting. You head back outside and check the mortal guards. They're a truly bewildering mix. Some are actual police, state police, or from nearby municipalities. Others give every indication of belonging to the armed forces, from their kit to the way they carry themselves. Others are just fringe militia types, citizens patrols, patriot groups, even bikers, loaded up with ammunition and given those cat skull masks. You see men and women in suits, some of them wearing windbreakers or lanyards that indicate they're with ICE or Border Patrol, the FBI, and even the ATF. Food at your fingertips, a loyal army of soldiers, and a situation that blends perfectly into the chaos and carnage humans have wrought on one another. Ellen Olivekrona has built her own private paradise here, by certain standards. You constantly see Nile and lesser underlings running back and forth on errands to maintain the place. That's a sneaker net. Data being physically carried from place to place, just like what you do. Data is flowing everywhere here. It has to be coming from a central source. If you could get your hands on all that blood traffic data, who knows what Julian and you could do with it? Of course, neither Olivekrona nor Prince Leto would be happy if Julian copied the data and set up his own little oasis. Let's see, looks like we got some stuff to do. Take the boot off the car, Dex and Clandestine, which I don't think we have a whole lot of. Dex. And, yeah, that ain't happening. Well, let's go ahead and savor the local flavor. I go to Millicent and select a vessel. Should be easy as the pit and a little more upscale. You head back to Millicent's and enjoy a vessel with the other kindred. Hey, Daka. How you doing, friend? That rate of 1. The next day brings no SI activity. After showering, you check the red tent, but it's sealed up tight. Olivekrona is deep in negotiations with other branches of the federal and state governments and with private, charitable organizations that need cheap labor. What the hell? She must know you're here, but between her malinois and her endless parade of guards, you can't get in. Worse, more and more vehicles seem to be parked around the camp. Too many people, you think. The Masquerade is endangered by this kind of lively chaos. As you make plans for the evening, a hideous Nosferatu in ragged clothes appears. She introduces herself as Lenora, a facilitator among the different Anarch groups that feed in Camp Sheffler. If you're looking to aid the Anarchs here, she's willing to help. She leaves her contact information as well as a shoebox full of camp records as a sign of good faith. These are copies of Olivekrona's contacts in the blood trade. This is exactly the sort of hard data Julian is looking for. I actually want to see what this I'm going to ask around for the man with the right attack, or the wide attack, just because that had to deal with the Tremere loosely. All kinds of clerks, sanitation technicians, and medical personnel are necessary to keep Camp Sheffler running. You seek them out and ask a few questions. People get real quiet. So quiet, you're convinced they know something. Apparently there are rumors that the prisoners are planning some kind of mass escape, and that the man you're describing is somehow involved in that. You're not sure if that's true, but you suspect that if you're interested in finding the man from the abandoned gas station, doing something for the prisoners might be the way to start. The only solid lead you gain is a name, Raul. Well, Julian wants allies to exploit this place. I head outside and talk to the Anarchs. By Camarilla standards, Julian is an Anarch, though he eschews the term, but the hard-eyed Canaanites lurking at the edge of the migrant camp are the real deal. Ideologically committed, Angry and determined to live free of Camarilla interference, whatever it takes. A few hours of casual investigation and Millicent's reveals 3 distinct gangs. The Outlanders roam free in the desert, stopping to Camp Scheffler every few nights to feed. It would take cunning and wilderness lore to track them down outside, which is the only place they might be amenable to conversation. The lunatics all descend from a single mad visionary. Criminals and swindlers, they get by as petty thieves and local couriers. You'd have to stay cool and know your way around the local criminal lingo to interact with the mad ones. And then finally, the Bruja Anarchs aren't your typical rabble biker gang. They're refugees from the ruins of the Soviet Union. High-class philosophers and fallen intellectuals enduring an exile that they still believe is temporary. Like mortal Russian aristocrats a century before, they keep to their old and elegant ways, and await a triumphant return to the motherland that no one else believes will ever come. You'd have to be charming and on your best behavior to impress them. Interesting. Okay. Wit and survival. No, that ain't happening. Resolve and investigation. Okay, that's 5 for resolve and investigation. And then manipulation, subterfuge, manipulation, persuasion. I kind of want to go with the Malkavians. What do you guys think? That we have the best chance of that. And getting some extra couriers would probably help out too. I mean, it's going to be loose cannons either way. So, yeah, let's do that. They're coming to take me away, haha. A bit of simple but systematic investigation will turn up the least crazy Malkavian. Once I find that, or once I find them, I'll use that lunatic as a source for more info. You head back to Millicent's. There, you talk to a few ghouls and other flunkies, trying to feel out who might be able to help you. They direct you to a hulking Malkavian named Severian, and the Solid Giant directs you in turn to Gibberish Mike. Fortunately, it turns out that Gibberish Mike is just Australian. Malkavian's dialect is a bit antiquated and he's hard to follow, but he's mostly lucid. You don't say anything that'll get you fried by Olivekrona if word gets back to her, but you hint at your frustrations with the Ventrue. That gets Mike talking. And boy, can he talk. He covers about 75 years worth of personal frustrations and vendettas in 3 minutes, then pivots to explaining how he's going to murder Olivekrona. You have to calm him down, but once he's relaxed again, he agrees to help you out, promising that a contact from among the Anarchs will seek you out. That actually went better than all your previous negotiations with Malkavians, but you get out of there before Gibberish Mike draws attention to you. The next day, you're repeatedly jarred awake by the sound of heavy equipment moving around. Vampires sleep heavy, but your nerves are on edge all day. Every time you think, is this the attack? But nothing happens. Someone bangs savagely on your door just as you get ready to leave. Hey, courier! It's Nile. Get out here. Olivekrona wants to see you. You poke your head outside to confront the Ventrue's underling. The sky is still tinged with purple in the west. You haven't slept well in days. Meet me at the red tent, they snap. And then they take off. Ooh. You've been ordered to the red tent, and you feel eyes on you as you step inside. After a few minutes spent checking possible exits, you enter the red tent for the first time. The guard dog that's always outside takes the lead, and you follow the Malinois. Most of it isn't offices like you were expecting. Instead, dozens of migrant prisoners, mostly women, are lined up in front of refurbished laptops performing mechanical Turk-style labor. A few with good English skills appear to be phone baking for Texas politicians or Christian charity organizations. Past the security door is a crude facsimile of a government office, complete with faux wood paneled walls and a deep blue carpet. You find Olivekrona in an oversized office, seated at an elaborately carved wooden desk in front of a Department of Homeland Security seal. Olivekrona looks like the picture you saw of her. She's tall and gaunt, with long blonde hair arranged in an elaborate braid. She wears a blue-black pantsuit decorated with more silver jewelry than most government workers. Her colorless eyes meet yours, and you detect a flicker of distaste and disappointment. "Oh, the courier is here," the Ventrue says, as if you haven't been trying to deliver the USB for nights. Tired of waiting, you march past Nile and slap the USB down on her desk. "From Prince Leto, I assume?" she says. Before you can answer, she drops beneath her desk, rummages around, and pulls out a spare laptop. She inserts the USB and then starts to read. You wait for her to explode into action when she realizes the Second Inquisition is coming. Her response is disappointing. The Second Inquisition is coming," Olivekrona says. "Thank you, Leto." Or Leto. Nile clears their throat and says, "Isn't that, a problem, ma'am?" "An opportunity," Olivekrona says, rubbing the head of her Malinois. The animal elicits no reaction. "For too long I've tolerated all kinds of trash at this open feeding hole. Now the SI gives me the opportunity to get rid of the anarchs, the hangers-on, the filth. We'll take the data we've gathered here and use the state claim at another holding facility. There are dozens to choose from, and the new one will be for the Camarilla alone." She checks what Leto wrote her again. "Yes, this confirms what I know and what I've planned for. Nile, a kill team from the Information Awareness Office at the Pentagon will be here in the morning. Your plans are waiting in your office. Read them now. Leave us." Nile gets out of there, leaving you with a very satisfied-looking Ventrue. And at that moment, she is every inch the Ventrue. A born ruler, always 3 steps ahead, always totally in control. She looks you up and down, hardly bothering to hide her distaste, and then gestures for you to sit. "So you're still here," she says. "If you're looking for more work, I could use you, Wretch. I reward loyalty." Her eyes narrow, and her earrings glitter in the cheap artificial light. "I return loyalty. That's all we kindred have, you know. Our bonds with each other." Technically, you've finished your job here and should be able to walk right back to your car. But before you can say anything, Olivekrona says, "Camp Sheffler can always use a competent professional who is not already entangled in local politics. In exchange for helping me with certain matters here, perhaps I could teach you something. This might be an opportunity to earn the Camarilla's respect, rather than their grudging cooperation." This would be a good way to get ourselves some fortitude, ladies and gentlemen. LaCroix flashbacks, right? "If you're offering to teach me your arts, I'm interested." "I don't teach the secrets of my clan to just anyone, Wretch," Olivekrona says. "You must earn my respect. Our mental powers and our near invincibility are not tricks that anyone should be allowed to learn, you understand." She settles her hand on the dog. "Nor my personal discoveries about how to command beasts. But if you aid me, yes, I am willing to spill my blood for you and teach you my secrets." Disciplines available from Ellen Olivekrona. Animalism, Dominate, Fortitude, Presence. And if not, Wretch, why are you here? What appropriate music. What do you guys think? Could be interesting. Fortitude. I always love having fortitude with my characters. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of armor. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think we'll play ball for a little bit here. I'll be straightforward, if cautious. I'm here to help the Camarilla, and I'm impressed with what you've done here. So, you're something more than Prince Leteau's pet errand boy, Olivekrona says. I'm glad you recognize what I've been able to create here. Ooh. Oh, thank God for intelligence. Woohoo! It's charisma and persuasion. So that's 4. Int and streetwise or int and investigation? So that's 6. Either way. Your underlings are crooked and stealing blood. Shouldn't be hard to offer my services as a shrewd auditor and investigator. Well, yes, Wretch, obviously they're stealing blood. They're vampires. I permit some slack in my operation because rigid control is impossible. They're selling the blood, you say. What? You walk her through the details of what you think is happening. After a few minutes, Olivekrona reaches into a file cabinet and slaps down about 5 pounds worth of records. This shouldn't take someone with your skills long. I want you to go through these transfers and note any discrepancies. You're going to take some notes back to Prince Leteau. You'll be paid, of course, but in addition, I will consider a more extensive arrangement. I would not want you to be going to work permanently for Leteau, after all. That SI raid, you say. You don't want to sound alarmist or to impugn Olivekrona's abilities, but I'll see your car move to a secure location, she says. And free to move, of course, but review those ledgers. And be careful with them. I am showing them to you as a sign of trust. You scan them, instantly recognizing things you can use to get around the camp more efficiently. Olivekrona's complacency is alarming, but also strangely convincing. Has the supernatural charisma of Clan Ventrue subtly influenced your reaction? No, certainly not. You stand up, confident that you can help the Camarilla manage a successful evacuation so they can rebuild elsewhere. The dog escorts you out, then freezes and finally reacts to something, snarling at the man in the door. You're a hard woman to find, Ellen. I can't believe you made me leave my gamer chair. You turn at the familiar voice, and Julian Sim stands in the doorway. The Ventrue racks her brain for a moment and then says, The water boy? Julian Sim, the Banu Hakim says. He's wearing a Junji Ito hoodie and a sly grin. Ellen waits a beat. You realize she's waiting for her retainers to swarm Julian, but they don't come. She reacts graciously to that revelation, gesturing for her dog to stand down. And what do you want, boy? She asked the Assamite. Oh, I want you to stop overestimating your chances, Julian says. He tosses a plastic folder full of photographs and documents on Olivekrona's desk. Her eyes widen as she sorts through them. The IAO kill team is going to smash you to paste and then light the paste on fire, Julian says. You don't have time to pack everything in neat little boxes. Get out now. But yes, all your hard work, it's very sad. Run a tighter ship next time. How dare you, fledgling! Olivekrona snaps, and the dog snarls. And that's Dr. Fledgling to you, GS-10, Julian says. And what's your degree in? Oh, I don't know. Lots of things. The point is, I'm offering my services to expedite your evacuation. OCR scanners? Encryption? Olivekrona asks. No. Then what? I drove here in a van full of librarians from the University of Arizona. Olivekrona's eyes dart from you to Julian and back to you. Wretch, keep an eye on Sim while his librarians help me pack. The moment you're out of Olivekrona's earshot in a fast-emptying main room of the red tent, Julian takes you by the elbow and says, You better not be helping Ellen. Give me the information I need from this place, and I can rebuild it data point by data point somewhere else. Ellen can't. She thinks she can, but she doesn't have the time or experience. You glance around. At least one of Olivekrona's retainers are watching Julian at all times, so Julian can't actually fight you if you defy him. I'm doing what I need to survive the night, Julian. You should try that instead of trying out all these schemes. Julian just shakes his head. You're making a mistake, Wretch. We're young and allowed to make mistakes, but not forever. He signals his librarians and starts grabbing whatever he can get his hands on. Now you're going to work while Julian steals everything he can. You step outside the red tent. The evacuation is really kicking off, with Olivekrona coordinating her underlings and Julian pretending to help her while chatting with you. He seems friendly at the moment, and stealing as much as he can. You consider how you can help, or help, as the case may be. Olivekrona keeps a lot of files and equipment on lockdown in the red tent. What is she hiding in there? If you can keep your wits about you, I have no wits. You could use the distraction to break into her secure area and see what's back there. Your Nosferatu contact, Lenora, could help you organize the Anarchs to load up supplies, which would take leadership skills and attention to detail, mostly to make sure they didn't steal too much. If you're smart and technically inclined enough, extensive computer data is waiting to be transferred out. The equivalent physical data, boxes of files, folders, maps, mimeographs, would require an equal degree of intelligence as well as a good understanding of academic research techniques in order to grab the most valuable material. Olivekrona's operation is already a mess, whether digital or physical. Someone with a keen eye for detail might just be able to hang around and spot everything that gets dropped, misplaced, or misfiled. There's a lot of equipment to move, and the cat mask guards aren't helping. Why would they? This is vampire business, and most of them don't understand what's happening. But you could ask Olivekrona for money and pass some of her cash around to get the guards working for you. And while the Russian Bruja would have to be persuaded to help, their tent is right next to Olivekrona's. If you can convince them to help with the evacuation instead of just fleeing, they might be useful. Whatever you do, you just can't let this data get caught out in the open. If the SI hits you before it's packed up, it'll be a significant breach of the Masquerade. Okay. I think int and investigation is probably the best way to go. I use my brains and investigate the ability to make sure key data doesn't go missing. This camp was always too large and complex for Olivekrona to keep everything nailed down, and now that it's in motion, the situation is rapidly approaching abject chaos. There's theft, loss, confusion, misallocation, and more theft. Also, Malkavians. Fortunately, you and Nilray were able to stand at the edge of the parking lot and watch the loading and unloading. Whenever something goes wrong, you're able to signal someone to set it right. You spot all kinds of screw-ups and corruption. You can't be everywhere at once, and you're sure it's just as messy elsewhere, but you're able to make sure that the parking lot's vehicle loading operation runs smoothly. You peer into the back of your BMW, which is currently full of whatever equipment and information Olivekrona's flunkies could toss into it, including a whole file cabinet and several old tower-style CPUs. Elsewhere, the evacuation is proceeding smoothly. "It's time to roll," Olivekrona tells Nile. The retainer nods and gives Olivekrona and the Malnoy in her jeep. Julian sighs. You don't think he was able to steal much from the Blue Blood, and hops into his sprinter van. For a moment you wonder what's going to become of the prisoners. No one's letting them out. But then an F-150 behind you lays on its horn and flashes lights like you're not rolling forward fast enough in a Burger King drive-thru. The convoy is moving. You roll through the main gate. Julian used to say that when a plan went perfectly, everything was boring. He only said that about his StarCraft games, but it applies in real life too. There's some action behind you, and a helicopter screams overhead 10 minutes up the road. But if the Information Awareness Office or whoever authorized this op expected a pitched battle, they should have struck earlier. You're gone. Since dawn is so near, the convoy starts to break up a half hour outside the camp. You find a location taped to your sun visor. 5 more minutes of driving, and you're just starting to feel nervous as the eastern sky lightens, and you turn onto a dirt road and arrive at an abandoned wildlife conservation facility. Boarded up, but so far from any major highways that graffiti has barely touched it. You check inside. The windows are covered, and no light can get inside. This'll do. You head into the abandoned building to rest. You get back on the road the moment the sun sets. You keep off the major highways. The radio is full of wildly incorrect chatter about the terrorist attack on the ice holding facility. You reach Tucson before midnight. You stop at the Viper. The Eagle Prince's flunkies show up to take the data Olivekrona loaded into your BMW. While they work, they talk about how a storage facility off exit 306 also got raided by the police, and at least one of their number died in a shootout. You make sure the retainers don't steal anything that isn't theirs, and then head inside. The Malinois is waiting for you. The dog jerks its head, signaling for you to follow. Olivekrona is waiting for you in a well-appointed meeting room with a Viper you've never been in before. She's dressed in a long black gown, like she's going to the opera. Her dog curls up next to her leather armchair and watches you, red stones glittering on its collar. "I promised you a reward if you helped me," Olivekrona says, "and I keep my word." Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I can't stand this woman, but I want her secrets. Let's begin our studies then, and I prepare to receive her blood. You sink to your knees as Olivekrona removes one of her opera gloves and digs into her wrist with a nail. Her blood tastes like nothing. Nourishing, perhaps, but flat and neutral, like one of Call's experiments in artificial blood. But then the whispers start, the insinuations, and you feel the awesome power of Clan Ventrue. Strength, mastery, control. You pull away before you're overwhelmed. "I can remain for a few nights to instruct you," Olivekrona says, sealing up her wound. "In that time you will learn to control mortals and beasts. You might even learn to control yourself." You head for the Elysium and meet Prince Leto on the stairs. He's dressed in a tuxedo, as if he's just about to hit a nicer place than the Viper. "Ah, Wretch," Leto says when he sees you. "It's good to see you in one piece after the SI got through with Camp Sheffler. My man Alexander's prepared a room where you can type up what happened." The Toe's ghoul, Alexander, leads you to a room with an old-fashioned typewriter. When the old ghoul scans your work, he says,
Prince the Toe will be satisfied with this. Let us hope that we can find a way to rebuild quickly.
Alexander hands you a double payment, since you also got that parcel on the airplane. You head back to your BMW and make sure the money adds up. And you return to your penthouse and park your car. Where to tonight? Alright, guys. Well, I'd say that went pretty well, all things considered. Let's go ahead and look at our stats. 11th gen. Hey, Moonian. Yeah, I definitely think that fortitude needs to be given, for sure. And we're good. We're in great with both Julian and the Camarilla, which is what I was looking for. All right. Let's go back to the stats page. I do believe it is time to stay in the penthouse and unlock further secrets of the blood. 14 experience points. Let's get that sweet, sweet fortitude. $12. How much for blood sorcery? Oh man, I could max out blood sorcery right now. Delicious. So, man, you could dominate in fortitude, and that would give me four points left for something. You know what we need to do? We need to go ahead and pump up our wits. But I think we're going to go ahead and do that at the beginning of the next stream, guys. We were able to get through the Ventrue portion of it relatively okay. Didn't get into any trouble. And now we're good with both Julian and the Camarilla at the same time. The problem is we're going to be like juggling those relationships, and it's probably going to end badly one way or another. Just depends on which juggling ball we drop first. But I do want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. I've really enjoyed this, and we're just going to keep on keeping on. Hopefully they don't do any updates or anything to mess up the save file, but fortunately I record these for YouTube, so we can always, and also Vosros has been awesome enough to keep track of everything. So we will just keep on keeping on. So, want to thank you all very much for watching. If you haven't followed the Twitch channel, please do so. I try and stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with random times in between. And if you are watching the replay of this on YouTube, I have a link to the Twitch channel in the description below, as well as a link to my Extra Life page, where I'm raising money for my local Children's Miracle Network hospital via the incredible Extra Life charity. So check those out if you feel so inclined. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill there. And we will see you next time. Later days, everyone.